Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Day two of Journey Your Journey with Jesus. Journal Your Journey with Jesus. I keep getting messed up on my own words. But good morning. Welcome. Today is day two. I want to thank everybody who joined me yesterday. I went back and I read all the comments and I commented or respond to a lot of your comments. So thank you so much for that. Today is day two. I would love as you come into the chat this morning, if you would share this broadcast out to your page, invite someone to be here with us this morning as we talk about stewarding the Proverbs 31 woman. I would also like to ask for your feedback on day one. What did you think about the broadcast? What did you think about the program? Did it resonate with you? Are you excited about this journey that we are embarking on? And are you committed to being here until January 31st? The one thing I know is I'm going to be here, right? So if you want to be here with me, I would absolutely love that because you can go so only so far by yourself, right? But you can go that much further when there are others going with you and there are others traveling with you. So again, I want to thank all of those for those of you who showed up. And as you come in the chat this morning, just drop your name. I'd love to say hello to you. So that we could say, hey, good morning, my sister. So nice to see you, my friend. So nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to just show comments on the screen so that you can see what others might be saying. All right. So here we go. This morning we are on day two. Day two. And we are talking again about stewarding of the Proverbs 31 woman. And I want to ask you a few questions. Are you her? And you can drop it in the chat. Are you her? Can you relate? What does it mean to you? And do you desire to be a steward like her? So I want you to comment in the chat. Are you her? Can you relate? What does it mean to you? And do you desire to be a steward like her? So I would love for you to just drop your response in the chat. I'd be interesting to hear that. Okay. All right. So let's move forward. So Proverbs 31, we hear people talk about the Proverbs 31 woman all the time, right? And we know that who she is. Good morning, Patrick. We know that who she is can be found in Proverbs 31 verses 10 through 31. So the entire chapter of Proverbs 31 is not so much about the picture of this woman, but it is about a conversation with a soon to be or a upcoming king and his mother. So good morning, Sister Stacy. It is so nice to see you. So this is a king or soon to be king that is having a conversation with his mother. So I want you to go back and I want you to read Proverbs 31, verses 1 through 9. And in verses 1 through 9, you will see that this is a conversation. And so I want to take you through that conversation, right? On day two of this journey that we're taking. And don't forget, you need a Bible, you need some type of writing instrument. I mean, again, we're talking about stewardship. We're talking about writing the vision. We're talking about writing the thoughts. We're talking about writing what God has given you, the downloads. We're talking about putting it on paper. I have Sister Stacy here, who is a administrative like CEO, and she knows the power of writing. She knows what it means to put things on paper and organize things and have a plan of action, right? And have a an SOP for everything that you do. Why? Because someone can come behind you and follow the steps, follow the strategies that you put in place for your business, right? It's the same thing. Like stewardship, stewarding your gifts, your skills, your talent, it requires you to put it somewhere that you can see it, that it's consistently at top of mind. And so if you read Proverbs 31, verses 1 through 9, you would realize that this is a conversation a mother is having with her son, who she knows will be king one day, right? And so the first 9 verses speaks to that. So this is King Lemuel, and it is the inspired utterance, aka a prophetic word from his mother. And this is like a teaching conversation that a mother is having with her son, who she knows will one day be a king. I want you to think about this, right? Forget being a king and just think about your own children as the prince and the queen, or the princess and the king of their own creation one day. Think about your children as leaders, right, in their own domain. What are the advice, or what advice would you give to your children who you know one day will be leaders? This is what this is. So many years, I'm telling you, I've read Proverbs 31, and in my head, I'm thinking a mother is talking to her son who's going to be king. But wait a second. If we bring it to today, right? Modern day times, this is a mother speaking to, could be a mother speaking to her son and daughter who she knows one day will be a leader, who she knows one day is going to be a CEO, who she knows one day is going to be an entrepreneur, who she knows one day is going to be a lawyer, a doctor. And she is giving advice as to what to look for. So when you go back to Proverbs 31, I want you to look at it with fresh eyes. Put yourself in that place. Put your children in the place of King Lemuel. Good morning, Sister Janet. So nice to have you with us this morning. So the very first word in verse 2, right? The very first word in verse 2 says, listen. If you're reading it from the NIV, it's going to say, listen. If you're reading it from the King James Version, it's going to say, I think it says, hear me. If you're reading it from the New King James Version, one of those versions says, oh, right? Oh, here, right? Another version says, what? No matter which version of the Bible you're reading this from, the very first word is a word for you to pause. It is a capturing attention word, whether it is listen, whether it is what, whether it is oh, whatever it starts with, it is a word that draws attention to what the speaker is saying. The speaker, right, who is the mother in this instance, is saying something to her son that is requiring him to stop and pay attention. So in verse 2, right, it says, listen, which means hear me. Receive what I'm saying to you. Pay attention to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Get wisdom and get understanding from what I am teaching you. That's verse 2 in a nutshell. That is verse 2. And as you continue to read, right? It will talk to you about, verse 3 says, do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. Okay, Elder Randall, that's a little, what is she saying, right? Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. What does this mean as you're reading this? This is not so much about women. It is not so much about the things that you spend time on, you know, that misplace your appetite. I want you to pay attention. This is about misplacing your appetite, misplacing the things that you love, misplacing the things that you are indulging in. This is not just about relationships. It is not just about relationships. So if you read it with a depth of now, she's saying, don't spend your strength on women. Don't spend your strength on relationships that are misplaced. Don't spend your strength on relationships that does not align with the life that God has for you. Don't spend your strength on relationships that are one-sided, that are not meaningful. Have you noticed sometimes when you have friends and then these friends, it's like they just take from you? You're always giving and they are receiving, but they're never reciprocating, right? As leaders, we, our children, have to be discerning of relationships that are not aligned with where you're going. These relationships also will tell you that, hey, your idea is crazy. Hey, you can't be an entrepreneur. No, you can't write that book. Nobody is going to buy it. It is not going to sell. No, you cannot start your own business. And so we feed ourselves on these things. This is what this verse is saying. Do not spend your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings, because those misplaced appetites, those misplaced relationships will ruin you. Definitely. And this is what I wanted to share with you about this verse. What you feed yourself will fund your future or fracture it. I'm going to say that one more time. What you feed yourself, and I'm talking about feeding, for example, like relationships, like what you do, your extracurricular activities, the things you spend your time on, the things you watch, the things you, social media, for example, right? Because sometimes social media is so distracting that you will wake up and instead of doing the thing that you need to do, you know, your meditation, your prayers, your journaling, all those things that set you up for the rest of the day, you pick up your phone and you get on social media, and the next thing you know, 2 hours later, you're still there because one thing lead to another thing, lead to another thing, lead to another thing. And I know I have been caught in that trap time and time and time again, right? What you feed yourself, even that, even with social media, will fund your future or fracture it. So this is speaking to overindulgence. It is speaking to distraction. It is speaking to ego. It is speaking to unchecked desires. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the power of Proverbs 31. It is bigger than just you reading and wondering if you can do all these things that this woman does. And so that's why I wanted to break it down. This is a journey we're going on, right? And before we get to the Proverbs 31 woman, who she is, which starts in verse 10, I wanted to break down the first 9 verses in bite sizes so that when you pick up your Bible and read that again, you're seeing it from a different lens. That's what wisdom is. That's what knowledge is. That is what feeding yourself the right thing means. And then we get into verse 4 and 5, and it talks about drinking beer, right? Like if you go to verse 4 and 5, it talks about drinking beer and wine. But what I want to share with you is it is so much deeper than that. Okay? If you go to Proverbs 31, I did do it, right? Yeah. Oh no, I'm in Amos. No, that's not where I want to be. I want to be in Proverbs because I just want to. There's a reason why I want to point this out. There's a reason why I want this point this out. Psalms and then Proverbs come right after Psalms. And I have someone who on this line right now who can relate to this, right? So verse 4 says, no, verse 5 says, well, verse 4 says, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed. Decreed mean what has been given to them, what has been spoken to them, what has been written to them, and deprive all the oppressed of their rights, right? So when you get that verse, it's not just talking about intoxication with liquor. Come through, people. It is now talking about sobriety of the mind. Sobriety of the mind. So, Sister Janet, I know you are on. I know you understand what I'm talking about. In the book, it is saying that it is not for kings to drink beer or indulge in wine and all of that stuff. But let us look deeper at the meaning, what this mother was saying to her son. I don't want you to cloud your mind. I don't want you to cloud your judgment with things that intoxicate you, right? Not just physically, but mentally. You cannot lead anything if your judgment is clouded. You cannot lead if your judgment is clouded. You cannot lead if you do not have mental alertness. So don't think that this is not talking about you because she talked about drinking beer and wine. And some of you may not have ever had a sip of liquor. But what are you intoxicating your mental mind with? What is that thing that clouds your judgment? What is that thing? What is that obsession? It may not be the bottle, but it can be something else, right? What is that idol? What is that thing that you have to have? That messes with how you lead, that messes with how you think, that messes with how you prepare, that messes with your alertness. Come on, guys. This is what this is saying, right? So when you read this, I want you to read it from a completely different lens. Verse 7 says, let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. So when your mind is clouded with all of these things, your reality becomes a cloud, it becomes a shadow, right? You can't fix, or you can't prepare, or you cannot repair what it is that God has given you to do because you allow things outside of what you are assigned to do to cloud your judgment. How many of us has done that? We have done it with relationship, right? We have done it with people we love. We have done it with overeating. We have done it with so many things. Listen, let's just talk about our physical health. When we have an assignment to do certain things, and sometimes the gluttony of food prevents us from being healthy. Think about the space in your home that you live in. Is this cluttered? Is this disorganized? You cannot have mental alertness about the things that God is asking you to do with clutter all around you. Clutter, disorganization. How can you be mentally aware? So when you are reading the first 9 verses in Proverbs 31, it's bigger than just what this woman, the picture of this woman is. You cannot get to the Proverbs 31 woman without understanding what the first 9 verses is talking about. Right? Good morning, Sister Natalie. Good morning, Queen Cousin. Nice to see you. Hey, everybody. You cannot get to where you want to get to if your mind is clouded, if your space is clouded. You cannot get to what God has for you with the wrong people in your circle. That's what it talks about when verse 7 says, let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Poverty means lack. Poverty means I don't have the things that I need to have because I'm not positioned and I have not prepared myself to steward it. And because I haven't prepared myself to steward it, I am poor in stewardship. So I want you to start looking at these words in a different way. I want you to start digging deep into the words of this Proverbs 31, because I'm telling you, I have gotten it wrong for so many years. I never looked at it in this type of light. So before we get to verse 10, which is where it starts, we have to first understand what was the lesson this mother was teaching her son, who she knows will be king one day. Mothers, fathers, what lessons are you teaching your children and grandchildren that you know will be CEOs and entrepreneurs and game changer and economy shifters? What are you giving them? How are you stewarding them? And listen, I know we have adult children, but in this Bible, this woman's son was an adult. And let me tell you, the very first verse in Proverbs 31 says, the sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. And inspired utterance, all that means is a prophetic word. That's what that means. It was a prophecy that she was giving him, and he's an adult. Okay? Yes, gluttony of food, sis, I'm telling you, clutter and disorganization, right? When your mind is clouded with all of this, you can't think. When you walk into, cousin, you said it right, alertness, consciousness, mental cleanliness, that's what I'm talking about. So when we read about drunk and beer and intoxication and strength on women is deeper than just those words, right? What does stewardship look like in a godly life? What does stewardship look like in a godly life? Good morning, Chris. So nice to have you on this morning, my sister. I didn't get a chance to say hello to you yesterday. Thank you for coming back. Ladies, if this is meaningful to you, if you are getting some aha from this, please drop it in the chat. I'd love to see what your thoughts are about what we're talking about right now. Right? Yes, Stacy, for real, clutter causes confusion. I'm like, that is, oh, hold on. Let me get back my thing on the screen. Clutter causes confusion. For real. I know you meant clutter. It causes confusion. I am confused if I'm stuffed or disorganized. But let me get through to this so I can wrap up. What does stewardship looks like in a godly life? Yesterday, I gave you 6 what do I want to call it? 6 keys to stewardship yesterday. 6 keys to stewardship. And today I want to just go back over them briefly with a little blurb of what each of those mean. This is going to be profound, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, the stewardship of identity. We talked about that yesterday. Knowing who you are in Christ and refusing, here's the word, refusing to live beneath that truth. Knowing who you are and refusing to live beneath that truth. So if you know that you have some things inside of you that are ugly, I need you to look at the mirror, come face to face with it, and fix it. Fix it. Forgiveness is one. It's for you, right? They may hurt you, but it's okay for you to say, please forgive me, and let it be, let it go. You don't misuse yourself, your voice, or your calling. Do not misuse who you are, and do not let anyone misuse you. Don't do that. Number two, stewardship of time. We talked about that yesterday. We spent 2.5 hours, 3 hours on social media. I think I was having this conversation with my friend, Dr. Natalie, last week. Like, you wake up and you pick up the phone and you just see one little thing and you say, let me look at this one little thing. And the next thing you know, that goes to something else, and then something else, and then something else. And you have lost control of your own actions. I think social media it's like a spirit. And the next thing you know, 2 hours later, you're late for stuff. You're rushing. You didn't get to say your prayers. You didn't get to meditate. You didn't get to journal. You didn't get to do any of the things that you planned because social media took 2 hours away and you didn't even realize it. Stewardship of time, recognizing that time is sacred and purposeful. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time. For those of us that are over 50 years is already behind us. We have less time ahead of us than what we have behind us. So playtime is over. It is now. Write that book now. Start that business now. Go back to school now, right? Travel now. Do all the things that you have planned to do all your life and still haven't gotten to it. Time is sacred and powerful. It is not to be wasted or abused. It is a lack of stewardship when you do not recognize the sacredness of time. Prioritizing what aligns with God's will for your life. Number three, stewarding of your gifts and your skills. Using what God placed in you to serve, to build, and to bless others. As a steward, you are not an owner. You do not own it. You don't own your children. You don't own your grandchildren. You do not own the business. You are stewarding the gifts that God gave you. Your children are a gift. Your grandchildren are a gift. Your business is a gift. Your talents, they are gifts, right? So stewarding of your gift and your skills and your talents and the things that make you amazing. Using what God placed in you to serve, to build, to bless, to be the fruit, to be the vine, to be the root. Gifts are seeds, and they were meant to multiply. Stop hiding your brilliance because you don't want anybody else to get what you're doing. This is me. I created it. And because I created it, I'm not going to put it out there because I don't want anybody else to steal my stuff. So what? So what? You know how many things I've gotten stolen? Good for them. Because they saw something in me that I did and they thought it was a great idea. And so they grab it and run with it. That's fine. Why do you think I have a cohort? Why do you think I'm teaching people how to self-publish their own books? Because I know it's a gift that God placed in me. Because I know I'm one of the best at it. And because I know there are certain standards and I want others to know it too. That's why 20 women just completed in 2025 my self-publishing cohort. Janet is on here. She's one of them. She can tell you the 10-week program and how intense and amazing it was. So use your gift to help others. Your gifts are seeds that are meant to multiply. Stewardship of finances and resources, managing your money wisely, ethically, and generously. I'm going to say that again. Managing your money wisely, ethically, and generously. My God, we get our income tax return, and the first thing we do is tell ourselves we're buying ourselves a gift. I'm buying myself a gift. I'm buying this Louis handbag. I'm buying this. Yes, we deserve the things that we work hard for. But that $3,000, what could it do? You can put it in a college fund for your grandchildren and let it make money, right? You can take it and you can invest it in a piece of land, generational wealth, right? You can put it together with some other family members and say, let's buy this duplex, generational wealth, building something. That's how it multiplies. That is the state of multiplicity, is when you allow your money to work for you. And then when you start to build, you give generously, you support organizations, you feed the hungry, you clothe the children that are naked. That is stewardship. Provision is not just for consumption, but it is also for contribution. And when you're getting ready to do the work of the Lord, it requires money. So why not invest your money, build on your money so that you can help to contribute? That's stewardship. It's building. Number 5, the stewardship of influence. Understanding that people are watching how you live, speak, and lead. I'm telling you this, right? Influence is a responsibility. It is not a right. It's a responsibility. How you show up in public places is a responsibility. How I walk in, how I speak, how I show up, what I say. Am I the same Joan Thaxter? I'm going to use my maiden name. Am I the same Joan Thaxter from Portland? My cousin is on Queen Maxine. Am I the same person, sis, from 30 something, 40 years ago to the same person now? That's my cousin. She can tell you. That's influence. When God has given you the opportunity to grow, when you write the vision, when you make it plain, when you water the seed, when you build on it, when you build in silence, when you plan in secret, and when you give God the praise because of the reward, that is influence. How am I showing up in my influence? Number 6, stewardship of purpose. Walking in obedience to God's assignment for your life. Purpose is something you manage, not chase. We're all trying to find purpose, and that is a myth. There's nothing to find when it comes on to purpose. It is in you. You've got to dig it up, unearth it. You know what it is. Is the thing that you are afraid to do, is the thing that you are like, I don't want to do it. I feel bad. I don't know if I know enough. Are you sure this is me? Purpose is something you manage, not chase. It is in you. It is that thing that you know you're called to do. Is that thing that you can do with your eyes closed. Is that thing that you should write about. Write about it. That's leaving the legacy. That's building the fruit tree. Because when you are no longer here, those fruits that you planted, the tree you planted with the gifts, skills, talents, treasures, and abilities that you have, somebody is going to pick that fruit and consume it so that they can get to their next level. So let me tell you about, as I'm wrapping up, stewardship versus ownership. Because we like to own things and we are not the owner of anything. And I want you to switch that thinking, shift that thinking, right? Because a poverty mindset is saying, I own this. right? A wealthy mindset is saying, I'm stewarding it because I know that others are going to come behind me who can get the fruit from it. So here's the ownership mindset versus the stewardship mindset. Ownership mindset, this is mine. Stewardship mindset, this was entrusted to me to steward. Ownership mindset, I'm going to consume all of this because I'm keeping it to me. That's the gluttony. That's the liquor. That's all of that stuff. The stewardship mindset says, I am cultivating this. This is cultivating. When you cultivate something, you're building something for others to be able to have access to. Ownership mindset, I'm hoarding. I'm hiding this. Listen, I built this program. I built this structure. I don't want nobody else to replicate this. So I'm just hiding what I did. If somebody asks me, oh, how did you do that, Joan? Oh, I just came up with the idea. Nah. A stewardship mindset, I'm multiplying what I've done. I'm going to teach you, Chris. I'm going to teach you, Janet. I'm going to teach you, Angela. Good morning, my sister Angela. I'm going to teach you, Stacy, how to do what I did. You may do it differently later, but I'm going to show you the blueprint. That's multiplying. That's multiplicity. Ownership mindset, I am independent. I'm acting on my own. I do this. I am my own person. I'm a solopreneur. I'm a one-man show. This is all about me. Stewardship mindset, I'm seeking God's direction on how I go next. I'm seeking God's direction on my next level, on my next move. Ownership mindset, I'm focusing on the now. This is it. I'm doing this now, right? This is what I'm doing. This is my job. This is my work. This is my business. This is all of it. Stewardship mindset, I'm planning for my legacy, baby. I'm writing the stuff down. I'm putting it in a book. I'm putting it in a journal. I am planning for legacy. That's the difference between an ownership mindset and a stewardship mindset. All right. And why does stewardship matters to God? God entrusts more to those who prove faithful with less. God entrusts more to those who prove faithful with less. I could tell you a whole story about that, but I'm going to wait until Monday. I'm not going to say you now, all right? Because there was a time gone in my life that I didn't know that I have any kind of gifts. I didn't think I had a gift. I couldn't sing. I couldn't play a musical instrument. I couldn't run because I'm clumsy. I couldn't do all the things. I never knew I had any gifts or skills or talents. And today, God has multiplied all the things that I am capable of doing because I decided to do just one thing. That's the power why stewardship matters to God. Luke 16 and verse 10 says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. So when people say to me, Joan, how do you do so much? God has given me the capacity because he knew he could trust me with one little thing. And I want you to ask yourself this question this morning. Can God trust me with the one thing he gave me? Or will I be like the guy who got the one talent and hid it because I felt like it was insignificant? Stewardship determines spiritual maturity. It determines kingdom impact. It determines generational legacy. And it determines future assignment. I don't know why those balloons just went up. But that is what stewardship means. That is what stewardship determines: spiritual maturity, kingdom impact, generational legacy, and future assignments, because God is going to build the capacity within you to do all the things he knows he can trust you with. What has God placed in your hands in this season, and how are you managing it? That is the question I'm going to leave you with today. What has God placed in your hands in this season, and how are you managing it? Starting Monday, we will start at verse 10. And that's where the Proverbs 31 woman, all of the things and who she is starts. Yesterday and today was building up to that. As I said before, you can't just go read from verse 10 through verse 31 and talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. You've got to understand what verse 9 and 1 was saying. You've got to understand the context of verses 1, not 9 to 1, verses 1 through 9. So the last 2 days, yesterday I talked all about stewardship and what it means, the definition of stewardship from the dictionary and the definition of stewardship from a biblical perspective. Today, I wanted to give you the 6 elements of the different types of stewardship, but I also wanted to break down verses 1 through 9 about this conversation that a woman was having, this prophecy that a woman was having with her son, because I wanted you to see that this is the same way you can talk to your children about who they are and what is next and how to align themselves and prepare themselves for their growth, right? For their ownership, for their leadership, for their domination into their field, their gift, their skills, their talents. That's all I have today. May God bless you. So next week, I want you to come with 3 things. 3 things that God expects of you: your availability, your obedience, and a mustard seed of faith. Those are the things. They're free. You don't have to go and buy it. You just have to be open to it. You just have to take that action. You just have to choose to do those things. But I also want you to have your Bible and I want you to have a journal, because next week we're going to dive into every single verse over the next 20 days, every single verse of this woman who was the Proverbs 31 woman and all the things she did, because you too are her and you too can do it. So I love you to life. Thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for all the comments. My cousin said, so true, understanding ownership mindset versus stewardship mindset is deep. I like how you're breaking this down. Thank you so much. God bless you. Listen, guys, that's all I have. I know it took a lot of your time, but I will see you Monday, same time, same place, 8 a.m. in the morning. And listen, at 12 o'clock, I'm doing an interview today with Professor Laxley Stevenson. Come join me, because I'm going to be talking about how small actions led to big things where I was concerned, and how I do what I do and all the different things. All right. So thank you so much. Hey, cousin Sandra. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you. God bless you all. I love you. Have a great